Our imagination is an incredible tool, but since it operates using the same mental pathways as our thoughts and perceptions, and because we can remember what we imagine, we run into a significant problem. How do we tell apart real memories from ones we only imagined? This process, called reality monitoring, is how we differentiate between memories of actual events and imagined ones. When we observe something in the real world, powerful signals from our eyes travel to the brain's visual cortex, leading to recognition. When we imagine something, the process flows in reverse, with higher order parts of the brain lighting up first. Since imagination often requires conscious effort, it also involves more activity in the frontal cortex, which handles cognitive control. These differences are key in figuring out where memories come from. The anterior medial prefrontal cortex, a part of the brain crucial for attention and memory, plays a big role here. When it's functioning well, we're generally good at separating what we saw from what we dreamed up, but it doesn't always work perfectly. For decades, research has shown how people often confuse imagined memories with real ones, a phenomenon brought to light in the 1990s by psychologist Elizabeth Loftus. Her work revealed how false memories can influence everything from eyewitness testimony to therapy sessions. The question is, once we've been tricked into believing a false memory, can we ever realize it was imagined? A recent study by Chiara Green, a psychologist at University College Dublin, recreated Loftus's early experiments by implanting false memories into participants. The researchers convinced participants they had been lost in a mall as children, a completely fabricated event. Amazingly, 52% of the participants believed it actually happened. Green explained why this happens. True memories tend to have more sensory details like sounds or smells and evoke stronger emotions. The more vivid the imagined memory, the more real it feels. Green's team wanted to see if simply telling participants their memory was false would change their perception. 2 to 4 weeks after implanting the memory, they fully debriefed the participants, explaining that the event was made up. Just 3 days later, only 8% of people still believed the false memory was real. So, if vividness makes a memory feel real, why does debriefing work? Simply being told a memory is false doesn't make it less vivid. Reality monitoring works in 2 main ways. First, we evaluate the richness of a memory. If it lacks sensory detail, we're more likely to classify it as imagined. Second, we use reasoning. For instance, if you vividly remember flying through the air, you can reason that it must have been a dream because people can't fly. Interestingly, even though the implanted mall memory was vivid and entirely plausible, most participants were convinced by the debriefing that it wasn't real. This shows how powerful our executive control system is. Psychological research often highlights our irrationality and the ways our perceptions can be distorted. But what makes studies like Green's so compelling is that they show how our rational mind can at times correct those distortions and how we can adjust our beliefs to be more in line with reality. It's important to note that the false memory didn't just disappear from participants' minds. Instead, most of them mentally refiled the memory, realizing it was something they imagined rather than a real event. We rely on our memory to make sense of the world around us, but our ability to imagine, to simulate scenarios, remember and reimagine creates a challenge that our mind has to navigate. And sometimes it gets it wrong. What's reassuring is that in controlled settings, logic and the truth can offer a quick fix. Outside the lab, however, reality can be a bit trickier to pin down. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. See you next week.